It's out to deck. How you doing, guys?
Thank you.
It's like watching a film, but then all of a sudden we're in a film.
Roughly 5,000 metres above sea level. To give you an idea, that's about 700 metres on top of Kilimanjaro.
Gracious cycle still going.
Can you see Pretty Boy Charlie on your screen?
Oh, always pretty good. It's all about the hairs and the makeup and, you know, the time we spent every day to get him into shape. Unbelievable.
Was it like that on Long Way Round, huh? So Matt and Reese, I don't know you can, well, I'm hoping you can hear me. I'm going to carry on talking to Claudio, but if you can bring Charlie in as soon as you're ready, that would be cool. And we'll have both of them in together, and then we'll have a Q&A at the end. And even though I'll probably focus more on Charlie shortly, and then we can have a Q&A. Hey, Charlie.
Hey, can you hear me, guys?
Do you receive me? I can hear you and I can see you, but you're elongated. You're vertical instead of...
I don't know why I'm vertical. I don't know.
Sleeping as usual. Like...
Sleeping is... yeah, Claudio, let's not talk about sleeping. I think...
Let's talk about eating. Let's talk about eating.
We're one of the slowest people on the earth at getting ready. I've got to change this. I didn't realize that this doesn't work vertical.
All right, so you're the right way round now, actually, Charlie.
I know, but it's messed everything up because I thought we could do it the other way, but we can't. That's a shame. It doesn't work like that, my darling. This is Dune.
Sorry,
hello.
hi,
Dune.
She's coming. She's watching it the other way. Anyway, I'll have to. Anyway, that's fine. Okay, that's fine. I'll just do it from here.
Oh, good.
All is well.
Nice to see Dune. Nice to see Dune.
Yeah, no, she's in great form, Dune. Actually, I'm sitting in a tiny room with the door closed, and it's really, really quite hot in here.
Ah.
maybe I've got a fever and I don't know it. It could be the last time. But tell me, I was listening to some of your stories about your adventures and how you ended up in television and how you ended up on our doorstep and all the adventures we've done together. And
I still don't know 100% why I ended up with Long Way Round. You have to tell us.
Well, you were the least useless of all the cameramen we met. No, I mean it was a kind of two-way thing because we were Long Way Round had kind of started that there were no GoPros, there was no YouTube, there was no cameras on phones, there was nothing. I mean, you could text and make phone calls, and that was kind of more or less it. And so we created this whole system, with these helmet cameras and cameras on the bikes, and we had this big box on the back of the bike which had a video camera, and you could change the tapes in it. It was connected to the helmet camera and to the bike camera, and sound and all that kind of stuff. So it was very kind of sort of cutting edge stuff at the time. And we'd met a bunch of different cameramen, and all of them had the big camera like you saw with Claudio in the swamp. And actually years later, Claudio and I ended back in Papua New Guinea in similar places, but by any means. But anyway, that's another story. But so we were looking for these people, and they wanted a cameraman and a sound man and all the traditional stuff, and we wanted someone to sit on a motorbike and just follow Ewan and I, and on the idea was that we would be just the three of us, every 3 or 4 days or so. Then we'd hook up with the support crew, swap the little tapes over, and then carry on. But we couldn't find anybody. And then Russ Malkin day and
So
said, look,
out of desperation, they ended up with me.
basically they said, look, we found this guy, Claudio. And we went up and we saw him in this little room. And Claudio had this little small Sony camera, and he did all the sounds and everything himself. And then he told us that he could ride a motorbike, which I think he
as you do.
Because you basically just told us a lot of bullshit. And then when it came to the crunch, you know, we said, look, Claudio, we'd love you to do the job, you know, but we need your bike license to you know, to get the insurance and all this kind of stuff. And he came in, he said, he said, I don't know. The license, it was on my driving license and now it's gone. Basically about it. So then he had to go and take a motorcycle test, and then he failed. Was it 3 times you failed, Claudio?
Oh, I think I have the world record in failing motorbike tests.
Anyway, he failed 3 times on his test, but we couldn't get him insured unless, you know, he'd taken his test. So anyway, so he got his test, and bearing in mind we did long way around Dakar, long way down, and stuff like that, and his riding ability has stayed pretty much the same.
Is that good or?
Well, sometimes he fell over in the first one, and
but that's the only way, you know, that's the only reason why I'm ever in front of the camera, because whenever I fell off, they picked up the camera and filmed me just as good friends do, you know.
You threw yourself on the ground just to get filmed. I mean, that's, you know, that's pathetic. But no, I remember one time, you know, I used to tell Claudio just to follow me, because, you know, he would take the most strangest lines. Anyway, one time we were going through Russia, and it was really, really hot and baking hot, and I was in the lead, so it was myself, Ewan, and then Claudio riding along, and then I said, I came on the little walkie-talkie. I said, look, there's a petrol station. Let's stop there, and we'll get some petrol and take a break. And I looked down, and Claudio's rolling along the ground beside me, and I looked down and I see him lying on the ground, and it was baking up, and even the tar on the road was melting. And I looked down and I said, what the fuck are you doing down there, Claudio? And he goes, oh, I don't know, I was sleeping. And he'd fallen asleep on the bike and then hadn't seen Ewan stop, and he slammed straight into the back of Ewan, and he rolled in the tummy, and his whole body was cut tar. And we spent about an hour taking all this tar off his clothes. Yeah. And that was pretty normal, you know.
Yeah, but we love you. We love you, Claudio.
You know, but
Charlie,
we used to, you know, Claudio's name is Claudio, Count Claudio von Planta, you know, and we used to call him something else quite a lot.
Charlie, can I ask you something technical, dude?
Sure.
Are you on 4G or Wi-Fi? Because you're breaking up a fair bit.
Oh, am I? Let me have a look. I'll put my glasses on.
But while he's looking at that, Claudio,
yeah,
is everything that Charley Boorman says about you true, or should we just take it all with a pinch of salt?
No. He's only telling half of it. Only half of it. He's very gentle. No.
Can you guys hear me?
We can hear you, Charlie, but we can't see you.
Yeah.
Oh. How's that?
You're back now, yeah.
Yeah. No, I mean, listen, Claudio, it was a very difficult thing to find somebody to when we first started Long Way Round. I mean, it was all sort of by accident, really, that we did it. You and I have become friends for a long time. You know, I'd been I grew up in the film industry and making movies with my father, a guy called John Boorman, who directed movies like Deliverance and Excalibur and Hope and Glory and all sorts of movies. And, you know, he was, you know, one of the top directors around. And as a family, we used to travel around with him all around the world while he was making movies in the South Pacific and South Carolina and Brazil and California and all sorts of different places. And as a family, we'd go along. And then as children, we'd just be thrown into movies because we were free. And he said, why pay for children in the movies when I've got 4 free ones. So we used to do that. And actually, the first movie I was ever in was a film called Deliverance. I wasn't the banjo player, just in case anybody thinks that. But and my father said, look, if you sit on the sofa with that bloke, I'll give you a tricycle. And it sounded quite dodgy, but I really wanted the tricycle. And so that's how it kind of started. And so we sort of did all these adventures with my father, and then we did these adventures with my father, and then we made all these movies, and I made more movies and stuff, and it had quite a lot of success with that movie you can see now, and traveled the world doing that, and then
Charlie, could you just give us before you go on into Long Way, could you just give us a little bit of an update on this really sexy young guy in the picture? I'm not really that sure who it is.
I don't know. Well, it was my body double.
Was that the one? Is that you on the right of the picture on the left?
And anything good looking is me, but
I mean, I'm not being funny, mate, but them pictures are pretty damn awesome, man. Talk us through. I mean, clearly it's Emerald Forest, so if people don't know, you starred in Emerald Forest. I mean, tell us a little bit about that, Charlie.
Yeah, no, the Emerald Forest. That was, I was 17, and I just sort of finished school, and I went over to I had the lead role in this movie, and it was based on a true story about a little boy who was stolen by indigenous Indians in South America. And the father spent 10 years looking for his son, and eventually found his son as a grown man, and decided to leave his son in the jungle, and then some tragic things happened to the tribe, and the boy went and found his father again, and they had this adventure together to save the tribe. And anyway, so that was the movie, and that was 1984. Can you believe it? So I showed this to my children once and said that I did have a washboard stomach once, and and my children, and they said, well, now you've just got a keg, is what they said. So back to
no, but it was very useful to show on Long Way Round. You know, my key scene was where you demonstrated the difference of tarmac and proper gravel road.
I remember that.
Well, that was, I put that weight on specially for that. That scene. But no, and then I was doing loads of movies, and then I started choosing movies for their locations, and I started to not do so well. You know, they'd say, oh, there's a movie going on in Africa, and I'd take it and I'd read the script and think, well, that's shit. But you know, great location. And I kind of did those, and I was doing those for a long time. And then I started to do less and less movies, and more painting and decorating, and more of that. And then my career was really really going downhill. And that for about 10 years, I used to do people's houses up and you know, bathrooms and kitchens and all that kind of stuff, and floors and stuff. And then within that 10 years, I'd get the odd movie. And then I met Ewan on a film called The Serpent's Kiss. And that was my sort of big comeback. That was my big comeback movie. Or at least I thought it was going to be my big comeback movie. It was Ewan McGregor, Pete Postlethwaite, Greta Scacchi, Richard E. Grant, and all these people. And I thought, great, you know, I'm back in the film industry. And anyway, that film just went straight to the bin, really. It was terrible. And
Charlie, I think before we get into the depths of Long Way, which obviously people want to know about, while we're still in the era of you being a childhood star, particularly for the older audience who are watching tonight, you know, you had a pretty special. We just seen some lovely pictures of you there before with your dad. I mean, for those who don't know, this is John Boorman, so Charlie's dad. But your godfather was someone very special, eh?
Yeah, no, well, you know, it's funny. I mean, I grew up with lots of different people. Dad made movies with Deliverance with Burt Reynolds and John Voight and all these different people. And Lee Marvin, Dad made a couple of movies with Lee Marvin, and Lee Marvin was huge at the time. And he was responsible for my father getting into the film industry in America. And they made a film called Point Blank together, which was very successful. and launched out his career in America. Anyway, they became lifelong friends, and Lee became my father. Hang on, sorry, I'm going to just put that on something.
I mean, that's amazing. I mean, Lee Marvin, I got brought up on Lee Marvin, and films like Cat Ballou, and I mean, like where he played the comic genius, like, but also like with Point Blank and the rest of it. I remember in Cat Ballou, you'll know the point of this better than me, but didn't he and the horse go get up for an Oscar or something for that film?
Yeah. There's always an Oscar for best animal of the year, and the horse got it, and Lee got the Oscar for it as well, as because he played twins in Cat Ballou. But he had a reputation of drinking quite a lot, and I remember one story when Point Blank had come out, and he was the film was very successful. It was the first sort of proper violent movie that was made, very edgy film. It was a brilliant movie. You should see it while we're in lockdown. You should see it. It's a wonderful film, Point Blank with Lee Marvin. Anyway, so they're all celebrating in Malibu on the Pacific Coast Highway on Malibu Pier. There used to be a very famous restaurant there, and Dad and my mum and my two older sisters with Lee and his wife were all having dinner, and Lee got drunk. And when they came out of the restaurant, Dad said, "Look, Lee, give me the keys. You're too drunk to drive." And Lee wouldn't give him the keys. So they had this tussle in the car park. And Dad finally got the keys off Lee, and he ran to the car, and he jumped on the driver's seat and locked the door. And my mum and my two sisters dived into the back seat with Lee's wife getting into the front seat. And Lee wouldn't get in the car. And he was just hammering on the car, saying, "Let me in the car." And Dad said, "Look, you're drunk. You're not driving." And so then Lee climbed onto the roof of the car, and he wouldn't get off the roof of the car. So Dad thought, he said, "This could be here all night, And so he said, "Look, I'm just going to drive down the PCH. It's only 2 miles down the PCH to where the house is, and I'm sure it'll be fine." Bearing in mind, this is one of the busiest roads in California. And so anyway, he gets in the car. Lee's still holding onto the car, and he drives, and he gets onto the PCH, turns left to go down. And just as he's driving down the road, there's a police bike coming up the other way, and he sees the policeman. The police bike turns around and comes up behind Dad and pulls Dad over, and he gets off the bike and he's walking towards the car, and now Lee's all attention is to the policeman who's on the roof of the car, and he's shouting obscenities at the policeman. You can imagine being blind drunk, and the policeman completely ignores him. And he walks up to the window and he taps on the window of Dad's car. And Dad rolls down the window thinking, "Oh God, here we go." And the policeman leans in, he goes, "Sir, do you realize you have Lee Marvin on the roof of your car?" And my father said, "Well, yes, I do." And he goes, "That's fine, sir. Have a nice evening." And he walks off. And Lee's going, "Motherfucker, I'm going to buy it." And he just, Dad drives out. But he was a wonderful man, Lee. And, he had he fought in the Second World War. He was a Marine in the South Pacific. His whole platoon were ambushed by the Japanese, and him and another guy were the only two who survived. And so, Lee had a lot of demons, and was one of the great actors, and all of his army buddies used to take the piss out of him because he went from being a US Marine to an actor. But he was an amazing man, and he's one of those people who sort of, a family friend who kind of passed away too early and lives very strongly in my heart.
Yeah. He had a few more films left in him, I think, didn't he? When he passed.
Right.
Well, listen, this is where we're up to now, dude, because you were just getting to it before basically your career in terms of films was sort of heading in sort of that direction, certainly not in that direction. But then you touched on Serpent's Kiss film with meeting you in there, and how that relationship and that friendship grew, and all your involvement together with bikes, and how did that then lead to, because what I'd like to get clear on this is that I think a lot of people think that the long way round was some some big, massive project that was designed in a TV production company somewhere, and they said, let's get Charley Boorman, let's get Ewan McGregor, and then they made this big, successful. But actually, you sort of, the truth is, you sort of fell into it, stumbled into it, really, didn't you? Tell us how the connecting with Ewan and then the long way around actually coming about.
Yeah, I mean, it was kind of, you know, you and I had met in this 10 years of me making, doing people's houses up and stuff like that, and struggling away, you know, having 2 children and a house and mortgage and, you know, all that usual stuff that everybody has. And in between that, we made this film Serpent's Kiss, and we became great friends. I think the first conversation we ever had was about motorbikes. Ewan owned a Moriguchi, California, and we all met in this pub, and that was my first conversation with him. And then that's, you know, that we became great friends over that. And over the years, we stayed friends. We helped run motorbike race teams with Claire Ritchie and a bunch of other people. And we did a bit of British Superbikes, and we did Superstock, and we had David Jeffries and Matt Llewellyn, and we came first and second in the British Superstock, you know, 1000cc bikes. And then we did track days together, weekends. There was Roy and Paul, who the 4 of us used to just go around doing anything on motorbikes. And then one day, you and I were just looking to do a little bit more, and Ewan wanted to do a bigger journey, and we thought of maybe going down to the south of Spain and meeting our family down there, and then riding back again. And then Ewan rang me up one day and said, "Look, Charlie, I've got this great idea. Why don't you come over to the house?" And came over to the house, and he had this map on the table, this world map, and he said, "Look, why don't we go to China?" And I thought, all right, that's not a bad idea. And then we thought, well, look, if we go to China, we may as well just go to Russia and then hop over to Alaska and go to New York. And we thought, well, that's a good idea. And then we sort of sat there thinking, well, how long is that going to take? And Ewan said, oh, about 4.5 months. And funny enough, but both our wives said, oh, okay, that's fine. Off you go. And we thought, well, that's a bit quick. I think they wanted rid of us, really. And that's kind of how it went. And then we kind of went to figure out how we were going to do it. I didn't have any money. And you know, and Ewan's career was really taking off and stuff. And then we met this person, and they said, you know, I think it would make a really nice book. And so we approached someone about a book, and they said yes, and that kind of gave us a bit of money to be able to do it. And then both Ewan and I are useless. I mean, I'm completely dyslexic, and we all walked out of the book deal thinking that's great, but you know, how are we going to write it? Because I can't. And anyway, so we sort of figured that out, and we thought we'd do video diaries, and we'd transcribe, and then we thought, well, if we're going to video diary it, why don't we film it? And that's where we met Russ, and Russ got involved, and then David Alexanian got involved, and then we suddenly ended up, you know, making a TV show, and then Ewan came about, and really, and then Claudio came in, and then you know, the idea was we'd have a couple of guys following us in cars, but Claudio, Ewan, and I would be out front, meeting up every 3 or 4 or 5 days to swap over rushes or, you know, the video footage, and then we'd just go along and see how it went, and that's how it kind of went. I mean, it wasn't easy to get a TV deal, I must say. I thought it would be easy, but it was really quite difficult.
I think it's really interesting that you sort of, long way round, sort of you stumbled into it. It was an evolution as opposed to a plan. I mean, you were originally just going to do it. Then you thought, oh, we've got the money, but we could get some money from a book. So then money from a book came, but then the cameras, in terms of the diaries, meant that's the only way you could do it. But then that evolved in, and next minute you've got a proper production. You know, that's what a lot of people, I don't think, realize. I think a lot of people think it just happened in a big TV studio somewhere, and someone just said,
no, not at all. I mean, it was really Ewan and I. We decided to do it, and we decided to do it that way. And then we went and I found Russ. I met him at a housewarming, which I'd done the guy's flat up in this housewarming. And I went over to have this housewarming and met Russ, and he'd made some TV shows about bikes. And it went like that, and so and it was very much about how Ewan and I wanted. We just wanted it to be filmed as it happened, you know, warts and all, the good, the bad, the ugly, everything, and that's kind of how it went about. And you know, there was a lot of bumps and stuff along the way, and lots of people, like when we're trying to get a TV deal, you know, I never forget, in America, we were trying to get a deal in America, and we met these guys and we explained the story that we're going to do this, but we're not quite sure what's going to happen and stuff like that. And they go, okay, we get the idea, but you know, who gets voted off? And I thought, well, they're not going to fucking, you know, vote Ewan off. And I thought, that's me out.
That's you.
Well, but I didn't like them, and Ewan's going, no, I thought it was a good idea, and I'm going, no, I don't think so. And then one time we were in Australia, and we did a little teaser because people weren't getting the idea of it, because no one had ever done really what we'd done, and so we made this little teaser in Australia while Ewan was making Star Wars. And then we thought we'd go to one of the channels in America, in Australia. I can't remember which one it was. And we sat and explained it to the guy who ran the TV station. And we said, this is what we're going to do. And he goes, do you want to know what I really think? And I said, yeah, no, I'd really like to know what you think. He said, I think 2 wankers on motorbikes going around the world.
Wow.
That was.
And of course, when you say no one has ever done what you guys were trying to do, no one had done it in that kind of level of production. I mean, of course, loads of people have done it way, way before you guys, but you guys were putting it out there into big time TV.
But that's a great thing about riding motorcycles and doing adventure motorcycles, is what's great in the heart is that you know how many people have done it and gone around the world. I mean, there's stories of people doing it, I mean, you know, since way back whenever, and then there's people who are, and what's great is that we know that there are people doing it, well, maybe not right now, but have been doing it, and every year people go down through Africa and cross continents on the backs of motorcycles, and it's very reassuring to know that there's always sort of someone out there doing it, and I love it. And you and I just happened, you know, we just happened to stumble across it. You know, we had an idea, we went out and we did it, and we thought, listen, no one's going to watch it, and maybe somebody might buy the book, but that's about it. And I don't think any of us in our wildest dreams believed that we'd be sitting here right now, you know, many years later, still talking about it.
Yeah.
No, but the cool thing was there was real jeopardy there, because there was always this big question mark: will you be able to get across Siberia, you know, road of bones? Because everybody you asked at the beginning, everybody told you it's impossible, you can't do it. And so, you know, that was actually something which intrigued me right from the beginning, because you were starting something where everybody tells you can't do it.
Yeah, no, well, that's happened quite a lot. and I know for sure that the minute someone says that to Claudio, it's like, right, fuck it, I'm going to do it. That made it. I remember we had some expert who do it, and he just
became a good friend of yours.
Yeah, I mean, and that TV show to get the idea of what this guy was like, but lots of people do. It's a bit like when you go through Africa. You say we're gonna ride down through Africa, and people go, "Oh, that's a dangerous place." And you go, "Is it?" "Oh, yes, it's terribly dangerous." And you go, "Really?" And go, "Oh, yes, dangerous." And you go, "Have you been?" They go, "No." So it's very difficult to you know. And I remember being on borders, and you know, you'd be sitting in the border waiting to go through, and some guy comes up to you, and he goes, "Where are you going?" And you go, "Well, I'm going over to that next country." And they go, "Oh, that's a dangerous place." And you go, "Is it?" And they go, "Oh, yes." "Have you been?" You know, and so, yeah, always say, "Oh, that's a dodgy place." You know, so it's and you know, and I'm sure Claudio will, and Billy, you'll agree, is that, you know, 95% of the world are good people, and you know, 95% of the time I've been welcomed with open arms, you know, and people have been super interested. And I think when you ride a motorbike across the world, I think you know, it's very different than if you're in a car or a bus or a train. you know, you arrive in a town or a village or wherever it is, and you're in the elements already, and you have almost this immediate connection already. Whereas if you arrive in the same village in a car, you're arriving in your environment and you're stepping out of that, and already you're slightly removed. So I've always felt very lucky to be able to travel the world on the back of a motorbike.
Mm-hmm. I remember when I interviewed you a while ago, where you were talking about the fact that the way that you guys used to talk about the likes of Ted Simon and Millennium Man.
Ride.
Yeah, and the Millennium Ride, that was it. And of course, Austin Vince with the Mondo Enduro, all of that stuff was part of the inspiration as well in terms of reading and digging out information. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I mean, there's so many people who have done it and been there before us. You know, I mean, some of the paths we went on were lightly treaded, and others were heavily treaded. You know, and all of these people like Ted Simons and the Mondo Enduro guys and all these different people were all part of it, and very much the Millennium Ride. I mean, he was the guy that Ewan had found on the internet, and he had posted photos about the Road of Bones, and he'd said to us, yes, you've got to do it, but you've got to do it at a certain time of year because there's so many river crossings and there's no bridges, and you know, and that was just the thought of that kind of adventure, you know, but we couldn't have without other people paving the way, you know.
So listen, what would be really interesting is to find out a little bit about how is your lockdown going. We've seen Dune coming in before, and I'm assuming Kinvara's a home as well, and some of the imagery that we have, the audience know of you and your two lovely girls. They were like tiny tots in Long Way Round when we were filmed at the HQ, and then of course in Dakar. I mean, how's the lockdown going? You know, how's the lockdown? Are all the family at home?
Yeah, everyone's at home. You know, it's mostly good, and there are moments where I could be quite happy enough, and I could quite happily kill them. But I'm sure they feel the same way about me. But no, but it's lovely. I mean, I think what's actually been really nice about this lockdown is that we've been sort of all forced to sort of stop, and we've all had to do this because you know this lockdown is all about saving lives and about our society and what's happening to us. It's unprecedented what's going on, and so I think, you know, it's difficult, but we're all doing it for a reason. And we've been cooking, we've been doing all sorts of stuff. I've been building some technical Lego, which is like some kind of sort of 3D jigsaw puzzle, which has been great fun. We've been doing a lot of cooking, and we've been posting recipes on Instagram and stuff, and making the best of it. And it's been lovely getting out on a Thursday at 8 o'clock and clapping, and the whole street coming out. It's been amazing. The British are very good at rallying together and you know, getting on with it.
I think we've lost Billy for a moment.
We lost Billy.
Well, Billy.
Yeah, I very much enjoyed your cooking videos. It's pretty cool.
We just did one tonight as well, actually. But no, I've always enjoyed cooking. You know, I did MasterChef a few years ago, and somehow managed to sort of bustle my way into the final with Jodie King.
Cool. Are you actually? Is it like? Do you just improvise, or are you kind of following some rules, some basic concepts?
No, you get there's lots of tasks and you know, you have to do your own recipes, but then you get put into situations where they give you a table full of food, uncooked food, and say, right, you've got to feed 200 people in 4 hours, and you've got to come up with this. And so, you know, you got to do that. I love all that. That's one of my biggest passions is cooking, and so we do that and stuff like that. But but how has lockdown been for you, Claudio?
Yeah, Billy asked me at the beginning. Actually, it didn't change that much because I was already in a lockdown situation looking after Regina, and then the Corona situation came up, which didn't change that much. So we are still, and the only thing probably the Corona situation, the way it changed is that we suddenly had a whole group of friends starting to look after us. So they provided us, they still provide us with meals every day, because they know I'm totally absorbed with the care for my wife, together with Xenia and Larissa. And I agree. I think these situations where suddenly you have to come together with the whole family, it's actually quite healthy. And even if there might be issues, I imagine there are families where you have serious issues, but maybe it's not bad to suddenly sit down and try to sort it out and discuss it
yeah, no, I think the whole world has had to take a breath, and we have to sort of rethink about things. But
yeah,
but one thing I miss tremendously is riding my motorcycle, and going off rides. I'm just doing my head in. But apart, it's not so bad. But I mean, you and I were working together right up to the end of last year, and I think we got very lucky in being able to finish the project that we did together, and we then only finished on the 18th of December or something. So we're very lucky on that front, and so everything seems to be going ahead with that. So which is fantastic. But I mean, it was interesting. It's funny that we should be talking together, Claudio, because not only did we do Long Way Round together, where we started off as family. Oh, come in, Ollie. This is my wife, Olivia. What's up? Huh? I don't know who they are, Ollie.
We're on the screen.
We're on the screen, Charlie.
Oh,
That's what she said. We were buzzed in. Billy didn't get kicked off. He just disappeared. I think he's got internet problems or something. So
it's censorship. Look,
you're not on your own. Yeah, I think what happened was he was about to talk about Long Way Up, and someone on the internet just booted him.
That's it.
Off. I think that's what it was. Yeah.
That's it. And we were going to say something, but then you guys started going. You were going again.
Yeah.
We were going to sit here and something going back out, and I was.
Well, that's it. We didn't want to interrupt it.
Well done, you two, for putting all this together. It's absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, it's amazing.
It's been great fun. But I was just quickly saying that it just reminds me that with Claudio, when Claudio and I met on Long Way Round, this started years and years of working together. We then did the Dakar Rally together, which then Claudio said that was probably the hardest filming job he'd done in his life. It really was brutal, wasn't it?
It was brutal. I was completely, blasé at the beginning. I said, I don't even have to ride. I just have to go from bivouac to bivouac, and in between you fly, and in every bivouac you have super duper French catering. So what do I have to worry about? But the killer was that you never sleep for 2 weeks. You just don't. It's it's crazy.
So we had the Dakar together. Then we did Long Way Down together, and then we did
By Any Means.
By Any Means, and it just and then just ended up doing all these sort of movies together. It was quite extraordinary to and it's still very difficult to find a better cameraman. I mean, we've had cameramen who have better hygiene than Claudio.
Guys, I've got to just jump in and talk a little bit about what's been going on the feed, because it's been going wild. People have been saying this is the best Saturday night TV since the 70s, and we should get an Oscar for putting it on. So you've been very well received. Well done, fellas. And it's got the job done as well. We're over £1,000 over the fundraising target. We're £6,000 nearly for the NHS.
Wow. Amazing.
Thanks so much for coming on. We've had some hilarious comments. We've heard that Claudio is like James Bond. We've heard that Charlie has a voice like Christmas morning, and now we've just seen that the sidecar guys have swiped off Billy, so that's quite funny too. Yeah, thanks so much for coming on, guys. It really has been an amazing thing to have you on here and talking and give us a bit of an insight into the amazing trips that we all dreamed of. You're the guys that obviously inspired us. We watched on the telly. I mean, me and Reese were watching The Long Way Down when we were doing the Long Way Down route on our scooter and sidecar. I mean, we are fangirls right here. So it really is amazing.
But it is, people always say, Charlie, you and helped us jump on a bike and do whatever. But I always think that it's always inside you anyway. And so it's always inside people. Can you guys see me? Oh yeah, it's always inside all of us anyway, and all of us, have this desire. It's a bit like we all have to kind of drive a car, take a car license, but you choose to take a bike license and it's a whole thing. I remember when I smashed my legs to pieces, and I spent bloody years. I spent 3 years learning to walk again. The one driving force was that I could see my motorbikes out of my front window, and that's all the place I wanted to be, was to be on the back of a motorbike again. And so, it's a bit like people who ride horses and stuff like that. It's a lifelong passion. I'm very lucky to have it.
So, but you, like, I mean, in terms of motorbikes and Charlie, you've been doing it for years. Like, obviously, I mean, because in a series, you look like an absolute pro, don't you? And they're sort of like, the overlanding, you're going off road and that sort of thing. So, I mean, you're quite an experienced guy when it comes to motorcycling and sort of overlanding. I mean, when did you sort of start getting into the sort of motorcycling scene?
Oh, well, I'd say my wife and children will have a different story. The last 4 years, I've just completely destroyed my body. I broke both my legs, my ankle, my collarbone, my pelvis, my forearm. I've got 10 plates or something in my body, and that's all in the past 4 years. So they all think I'm just a really shit rider now, and so all the 40 years of riding has gone out the window. But no, I mean, I started when I was a kid. I used to do a lot of horse riding when I was younger in Ireland. I grew up in the Wicklow Mountains in the middle of nowhere, and I used to do a lot of horse riding. Then Tommy Watchford was a guy who lived in the village nearby, and he had a Mako 400, which was the dog's bollocks in those days, and he let me have a go on one. I could barely touch the pegs, and I went round this field and fell off, and that was it. I was hooked for life. And then all the decisions I've ever made in my life have always been based on the bikes that I've bought and sold. My only regrets in life are the bikes that I've had to sell and couldn't keep.
My only regret was getting married, really. Hello, Charlie. I'm back, Charlie. Can you see me, Charlie?
No, we've you terribly.
So I don't know what happened, ladies and gentlemen. I got thrown out the meeting. The internet must have had a wobble or whatever, but I'm back in. Thanks, Matt and Reese, for jumping back in and saving the day. And but listen, we haven't got an awful lot of time left. But Charlie, first thing I want to do is, because just before I got cut off, we were talking about you being at home, being in lockdown, and how grown up your girls are now. We've seen Dune come in before, and I want to touch on the videos you've been doing on Instagram. But before we do that, I just want to share this screen, and hopefully you can see this screen now. Can you see that from the Dakar 2006? I mean, I'm not being funny, but look at them girls. I mean, that is Dune.
Well, look, I can probably go next door, and
that would be cool. Could you do that?
They're all running away. Look, they're all running away. Can you see my girls, guys? Can you see the girls?
Wow.
Can you? I don't know if you can get them on screen. There they are.
You're getting feedback. You've got to go back into the dark room.
Anyway, that's them there.
Anyway, listen, I know that the girls have been doing this with you, but
You should have seen them.
in the lockdown, you've been doing Instagram with the cooking.
Yes, no, yeah.
Tell us about that, and how come you, Charley Boorman, the guy who goes around the world on motorbikes, the adventurer, where's the cooking come from?
Oh, well, listen, we kind of touched upon that a little bit with Claudio. I'd have to say, when I walked into the kitchen, you should see the three of them were like little cockroaches, just all trying to disappear to get away from the cameras so they couldn't be seen. That's made my day. That really has. No, I mean, I just started with Claudio and sort of said that, my mother was a great cook, and like all our mums, were fantastic. She's from northern Germany, and she used to entertain all the time. Every time my father would bring people back from the movie sets, and all sorts of people, producers and actors, and all sorts of people would come back, and there was always 10 or 15 people at every dinner, always. I used to come into dinner, sit down and think, who the hell are all these people? And of course, because we had so many people, Katrina and Talsha and Daisy and myself, my sisters, we all mucked in and helped. And so my love of cooking has always been there. And then, I did Celebrity MasterChef and managed to blag my way into the final with Jodie Kidd and Sophie Thompson, and she won in the end. But it was lovely, and I feel very connected in the kitchen, and it's very therapeutic when we come back from long journeys, been away for 3 or 4 months at a time or whatever. You lose connection with your friends. And so coming home, and my wife always organizes big dinners, 14, 15 people. And I cook. And it's a wonderful way of bringing everyone back, and all the girls help. And Ollie cooks, and Ollie's amazing dessert cook. She's just fantastic. And so we have these big things. And then I can sort of tell all my friends that I'm back, and then sort of life carries on.
So Charley, we're coming towards the end now, okay? Just a few minutes to go. But while I'm going to ask you a question, and while I'm asking you that question, just want to cue the guys up, because the reason I wanted to talk about you and the cooking and food is I want to cue the guys up for a film that they're going to play in a minute. So Todd, if you're out there and listening, I'm just going to give you the nod in a second to play this little film, because basically your concept of food that we've been seeing you doing on your Instagram clips, which are really cool, and I love the way you're doing it with the girls and they're all getting involved. It's proper entertaining. But when you're out doing some of them big adventures, like the really challenging adventure, whether it's long way around or long way down, or in particular, let's pick on Mongolia. Like when you were crossing Mongolia, you had an interesting example of eating dodgy food. Tell us a little bit about that, and then we'll play the clip.
Well, you have lots of you come across lots of food when you're traveling, and to be fair, most countries have fantastic food. But when we got to Mongolia, it's a huge country, not very many people, and the food's pretty shit. And you can't buy food anywhere. Everyone's very self-sufficient, and so so what we ended up doing was camping beside people's gers, which are these sort of round tents where sort of semi-nomadic people live, and they have all their animals around it and stuff like that. And then we sit there, and they would ask us in for food, and they'd feed us. Anyway, so one time we go into this place, and we sit down. They said, "Would you like some food?" We said, "Yeah, I'd love some food. That'd be great, thank you." And they said, "This this cooking. There's a stove in the center of the ger with this big pot on it with a lid on, and she lifts the lid up, and there were 200 testicles with their entrails and everything just bubbling away, and they basically just castrated all the newborn animals and stuff, and of course nothing's wasted, so and we all thought, oh my god, we're gonna have to eat these things. So basically we convinced them just to give us one each, and Ewan's was actually quite small and mine was enormous. I don't know why that is, but so Ewan ate his, and he's not a gagger. He can eat his stuff, and it came to my turn, and I put it in my mouth. It was quite big, and I thought I'd just swallow it. and that'd be fine. And so I put it in my mouth, and it was too big to swallow, so I had to bite into it. And as I bit into it, it popped. And it's just what that pop represents that was just horrendous. Anyway, I have tremendous respect for women now. So,
Todd,
his testicle came out of my mouth, and it just into the air, and it just sort of hovered in the air there for a while, and then just fell onto the ground and just rolled towards our hosts. It was very embarrassing.
Todd, can you rescue us from this and play that tape, please? Play that video.
We're camping tonight with the support team, and some locals have invited us into their ger for tea.
Would you like to eat nuts?
Nuts? Oh my Lord!
It was balls, cow balls, sheep balls, and goat balls, and there were 200.
Go on, have a balls nut.
No.
Have a look at it anyway.
I don't want to have a balls nut. I don't want to eat nuts.
I guess we should try, but it does worry me slightly what it's going to be like to eat.
Slightly.
Okay, one each.
Okay, we'll go for it.
Just one each, though.
One small one each. And they all thought that was quite funny, just having one, because they wanted big bowls of it, big bowls of balls. Ewan went first.
I've only got a wee one. Power through it.
He's very good about eating that kind of stuff. He can do it.
Go, baby.
Ali. Oh, yeah.
That's very good.
Okay, ready?
Yeah, good.
Sorry, just thinking about it.
To me. Did you eat it?
Go on, Charlie.
No.
Did you eat it? Did it go down?
Yeah.
Oh, get off.
Honestly, I didn't do it. I can't do it.
Not only do
Born in the world.
Here you go. He's eating one here. Look.
Go on, Russ.
Here.
Go on, Russ. Go on, Russ. play through the hair. Oh.
Sorry, I couldn't do that. Nearly.
I'm sorry.
Sorry.
So, Charlie, that was an interesting clip, eh?
Oh God, it's. I think what the thing is, I mean, that was Claudio filming that, and I was just bearing in mind that when Claudio has done lots and lots of stuff with Ewan and I, and he's done lots of adventures. But I remember when we were doing the Dakar Rally, and I broke both my hands, and I got to the end of sort of the day after I broke my hands, and I was really starting to smell a bit, and I went to bivouac, and I said, look, are there any showers here where I can have a shower, because I had 2 casts on my hand, and they said yeah, there's really good showers here. And so I went down to the showers, and I opened up this cubicle, and there was a bucket with a cup, and I couldn't wash myself, and so I had to shout for Claudio to come and get me, and poor old Claudio had to wash it down, and all my private parts and everything. So
I blanked it from my memory. I don't remember, like women don't remember the birth of their babies because it's so painful. So for me, it's it's really nasty that you kind of bring it all back again.
Nightmares for the rest for the next 2 nights. I'm
Charlie,
just surprised I remember.
Charlie, we're gonna wind down now, and I'm curious, and I'm sure lots of people are. Of course, we've got the lockdown, which makes things more complicated. But
yeah.
What does the rest of 2020, or certainly 2021, mean for you? What's going on? And there is a rumor, and I'll be blatant to come out, but there's a rumor that there's something called the long way up, and maybe the rumor might be even stronger than a rumor. What's your comment on this long way up malarkey?
Well, I don't have a comment on it really. I'll go and find out if some little bugger has taken, you know, our long way up and have done something themselves. I don't know. Claudio and I finished a big project just before Christmas, which is all, you know, which is all humming along and coming together, so we'll see what happens. You know, the future's bright.
And is there anything else you can? Sorry, I'm just getting a little bit cold in here. Is there anything else you could tell us about the project?
What are you putting on there, Billy?
No, I'm just getting a bit cold. I'm just a little bit chilly. Just a little bit chilly in here. It's just getting up northeast, like, you know. I just wondered whether there's anything else you could reveal, like, you know, anything at all that you could mention for the public out there. 2,000 people watching this at the moment, Charlie. We're just curious.
I think you know, there's lots of good stuff coming out, and I think just, you know, watch this space, and hopefully all will be good.
Okay, that's a good answer. And what's happening in terms of riding Africa with Charley Boorman, riding in Australia with Charley Boorman? Me and you, I mean, I was trapped in Australia for a few weeks. Me and you were in Australia just in February, March there, doing a really cool, like a commercial trip, come and ride with Charley. What's happening with all that stuff?
Yeah, I think I mean, I do these sort of 3 trips every year. So we do a motorcycle tour in Australia from Melbourne to Sydney via Tasmania, which is all on road, and then we do another one in Africa, where we go from Cape Town to Victoria Falls through South Africa, Namibia, and Botswana and Zimbabwe, and then sort of back through South Africa and Lesotho and stuff like that. So that's all, hopefully, all going well, will happen next year, and they're great fun, really good fun tours, and just amazing. Lots of you know, sometimes we have to stop on the road because, you know, 40, 50 elephants are crossing the road. So it's a beautiful, fun thing to do. So come and join us if you fancy it. But yeah, so there's lots and lots going on, and I'm hoping 2020 will be really busy.
Okay, guys. So listen, Charley and Claudio, it's been absolutely marvelous chatting to both of you tonight. It's been marvelous watching the whole weekend. I mean, certainly my day has gone all day with the TV screen on, showing the whole adventure festival the whole day and just picking in and out of it as the day went. It's been marvelous, and, you know, fair play to the guys who've pulled it together, like, you know, Matt and Reese. It's been absolutely superb, and it just shows you what can be done, eh? You've broken new ground here, guys, and massive respect to you. But big respect to Claudio. Claudio coming on board, Charley coming on board. What a lovely, it worked out really quite well having Claudio and Charley on together, especially as soon as I went missing as well. So that helped. So Charley, go ahead.
Well, just a quick one. Yes, I mean, absolutely, to say thank you to everybody, and thank you, Billy, for doing your thing, and Claudio. It's always good to see you, Claudio. But listen, I just want everybody safe, and good luck with everybody, and I think my battery is about to go as well. Probably quite. I'm going to get the charger out here now as well, and stick it. But yeah, no, it's been brilliant. And listen, let's all do it again next year. You know, we don't always have to go to an adventure festival, but, you know, why not have our adventure festival in our favorite armchair at home? And so let's again this time next year. You guys rock. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thanks, guys. Thanks so much for coming on. That was unbelievable. And it's so cool to have you. We've smashed fundraising. Guys, if you enjoyed their little set there, having the 3 guys on, then check out the tip jar, which is below us. All the proceeds go towards the NHS Charities Together Fund. So get on there, pay what you think the show was worth, and I'm sure we'll raise loads. So already smashed a target. Let's do it. Thank you so much, guys, for coming on. We will catch you again. I hope you stay around for the big fat quiz of adventure that we've got coming up. You might feature in it, hopefully. And yeah, we'll see you later. Thank you very much, guys. Cheers.
Bye, guys.
Awesome.
Amazing, mate. And to think they were hinting at a long way up, I think, on a scooter in sidecar is the gist that I got. I mean,
I don't mind me. That was something else. You had Billy Bike Truck, Claudio von Planta, Charley Boorman, and the Sidecar guys all on one screen at one time.
And mate, most interesting bit was that they didn't realise we were on the screen for a long time.
That's true. That's true. Question for you though, Matt. Do you think that is the closest you're ever going to get to Soccer Aid?
No, mate, I don't think so, because I didn't play any soccer.
No, I know, but those dizzy heights of being on a screen with those kind of names is pretty...
I don't think they've ever been in Soccer Aid either.
No, I know, but, you know, if Charlie wanted to be in Soccer Aid, he probably could get his name on it.
Yeah, to be fair, I think he could. I mean, not in the early days, maybe, when it used to be proper celebs, but these days they just throw on some YouTubers. I think...
He's about to go a long way up.
Yeah. Listen, mate, I'm sure he could get himself on there. I'm not saying he couldn't, but I'm saying he's probably above it now, to be honest with you. I think the King in It guys could get on there.
Really?
No offense to the King in It guys, but they just get anyone on these days. I don't think Robbie Williams is even still doing it.
I think he is. I think he organises it. He's a cheeky chappy, that Robbie. But
anyway, mate, we digress.
Yeah, we have digressed. And anyway, I think the moral of the story in general is the fact that was really an interesting sort of talk where they sort of took you through a bit of Charlie's life, a bit of how Claudio came on the scene, a bit of how Billy came on the scene, and we hope you enjoyed it. Who we've got next week?
Next week, we've got Ewan McGregor, and he's going to talk us through a long way up.
Really?
No, mate, we haven't got Ewan. Unfortunately, we've got the next best thing. It's a trip in the Americas. Jamie Ramsey, one day, he just went for a run, and he ran the Americas, 17,000 kilometers. Britain's answer to Forrest Gump. Loads of other incredible adventures too. He's going to be on talking about his presentation. It was an absolute corker, this one, mate, on the day. And it will be exactly as good again because it is just a recording of what it was on the day. So
you don't want to miss it.
You don't want to miss it. No, it's going to be good. It is good, to be fair, this one.
Yeah, it's actually
a lot of good feedback about it, didn't we?
Yeah, really good. He's a very cool guy. So
yeah,
we recommend that you tune in, and probably recommend that Jamie tunes in because he's a good egg.
So, mate, that'll be next week. Next Sunday, you can watch that. Or, obviously, if you want to, you can watch it now. You just have to go onto the link below, become a patron. It's $3 a month. You get early access to all the videos, a couple of bits of bonus content as well. Maybe me and Reese will go into the ins and outs of why we decided to talk about Soccer Aid in this thing.
Yeah.
In the bonus content. I don't know,
to
be honest.
It's your
it could be anything. You could find anything on that Patreon feed. You'll never know until you become a patron. We could have Russ Malkin on there as bonus content. We don't. We don't have him.
Good.
It's just us doing our tour.
And if you haven't seen the last week's bit of content and you are wanting to know what the actual pros and cons are off Patreon are, just watch our roundup from Claudio's interview because Matt gives a really good summary.
I do, yeah. Yeah. There isn't really any pros or cons. It's just sort of an okay thing to do.
And it helps
really.
us out.
It helps us hugely, yeah. You could get a sticker. Everyone likes stickers. Not got them yet though, so give it a few weeks for that to arrive. But yeah, it'll be good. I'm sure you'll enjoy it over there on the Patreon page. It's only $3 to find out. I'd do it. Go for it. So yeah, that was Charley Boorman. Next week is Jamie Ramsey. After that, it'll be someone else from the Armchair Adventure Festival, and we've got a lot left to show you. So it's going to be good.
Yeah. Don't forget
anything to add, mate?
No, just subscribe if you can.
Subscribe. Okay, yeah. Subscribe to the YouTube channel as well.
Yeah.
That'd be good. How are you getting on in lockdown, Reese?
Yeah, I can't complain.
No? Been out in the garden?
Yeah, a bit of gardening.
Built that compost bin?
Yeah, I built it, yeah.
How'd you get on?
Yeah, a bit of compost in there now, actually.
You going to use that on the house plants?
No, I need to leave it for about a week.
Is that all it takes? A week? And then you get compost?
A year.
A year?
Yeah. Yeah. But I've got some spare compost, so I'll be all right.
So you've got to put tea bags in that for a year, and then you'll get some compost?
Yeah.
I like your style, mate. Playing the long game.
Yeah.
It's not the destination, it's the journey.
Something along those lines, yeah.
Cheers, guys. We'll see you next week for Jamie Ramsey. That was Charley Boorman. Thanks. Bye.